what I call Nancy boys that are just sitting back, waiting for someone to come and save them. Yeah. And leadership has been confused with control or dominance. Leadership is not just about control and dominance. It's about leading with a servant's heart.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you may be when you're watching this or listening to us, if this is your first time here, you have just found the best damn podcast you've never heard or seen before in your whole life. We are known as Old Guys Still Rock. I am Blair Armstrong of Team Armstrong Coldwell Banker. You kind of see that behind me. I'm a global luxury specialist in the world of residential real estate in the beautiful, beautiful Coachella Valley. If you don't know where the Coachella Valley is, just think of Palm Springs, Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert, Indio, La Quinta, all of those cities. There's more of them intertwined there, but that is the Coachella Valley. So if you're looking in the world of real estate out here, I strongly suggest that you try to find me because I've been embedded into this world since about 1997 on and off. So possibly on your left, possibly on your right, maybe just right in the middle. Can't speak right now, but right in the middle is my good friend and the other host of the show, Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated, located in beautiful, beautiful Eugene, Oregon. We'll get into weather here in a little bit, but we're in episode number 149 today, brother.
Game changer.
Game changer. We are almost at that, that, what do you want to call it? It's not even a century. We're past the century mark. What's the 150 mark? So, But what I really want to get into today, brother, before we get too deep into the weeds on this, is just really one thing I want you to start thinking about here is I feel like the world has changed a little bit and somehow, some way that men forgot how to lead. That's going to be our subject today. The world is constantly changing, but I'm seeing more and more how that men may have forgotten how to lead. But yeah, so that's going to be our topic today. I just want you to start to think about that for a little bit. But before we go too far into that, how the hell are you? What's going on in your world?
Good. Speaking of leadership, went to a men's leadership meeting that we have weekly. It is a bunch of guys from our church decided to start a men's group that's not associated with our church, but it's called Fire Night. Sometimes we have a fire, sometimes we don't have a fire. So I was out till 10:30 last night doing that. And it is a call to action group, meaning we're calling people to action to serve in the community. We're calling people to action to serve in their church, to serve with their kids, to serve with their wives, to lead them properly. And so this is top of mind for me right now is just massive leadership and mindset shift. I'm kind of the old guy of the group. It's a 30-something group. Typically, The guys are anywhere from 27 to 38 kind of a thing. So I'm the old guy being 53. They did harass me last night and say, we had no idea that you were that old. What kind of skincare procedure do you do?
Right.
And I said, it's my wife that keeps me young because she's 16 and a half years younger than me. So she tells me to do all the things and guides me and coaches me to success. So that way I don't have as many sunspots and all of the fun stuff. So yeah, this is definitely not just top of mind, but it is a passion project of mine and has been a passion project for about 25 years since we talked about it prior episodes before, since I kind of woke up, right? And realized that I wasn't being a fruitful leader. I wasn't being a supportive leader, empathetic leader. A lot of people take that connotation of leading as aggression. And although sometimes it is aggression, it doesn't always have to be. It's the Sun Tzu principle. Sun Tzu said it's better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in the war. And so meaning you have to be everything to everyone. We talk about that a lot here. And so meet people where they're at, lead them, guide them, coach them, but do it in such a way that it doesn't feel like it's such an aggressive path. I don't want to tone that down because aggression is important, but understanding when to be aggressive and when not. We've all had that, right? So you've probably done this with your wife. She needed an empathetic situation and you went to aggression. You went to fix problem instead of listening to the problem.
Right.
I do that. Guilty as charged.
I think we all do that. Right back. It goes back to our multiple guest, Ken McCumber, right? Do you need me to hear you? Do you need me to help you? Or do you need me to hug you? Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's kind of going to that way. But really sticking with this topic today, I mean, going back to leadership, and I think that's really, I mean, when we talked 2 years ago, when we came up with this idea to start a podcast, and again, we're now 149 episodes in. For those who are just turning into, like, who the hell are these guys? Go back and watch 148 other episodes. We're going to figure it out. But the whole purpose behind that is exactly what you said. It's been a passion of yours for 25 years, is to engage, equip, and empower new leaders to not only to come down the side of you, but to also to take your reins in the future and continue that and make that better to where you've brought it to, right? It's always, as a leader in my mind, when I hear you say that, is like, okay, I am going to engage with you, figure out what you know, where your skills are, and I'm going to equip you with some of the things that I have learned, and then I'm going to empower you to make you better than me.
Yeah, for sure. Same thing I do with my son, same thing I do with my daughter, my wife, all my employees.
So why do you think that we're having such a decrease in that? I have some ideas, and so I'm going to say what I'm thinking right now, but I just feel like we've been inundated with so much stuff that instead of really, like, you know what, and actually we just were around a round table the other day with a bunch of friends, and we sat around there for a good hour just bitching and moaning and what everything that's going on. And then this one young kid said, we're coming, meaning we're done of not being engaged.
What are you going to do about it? What are you going to
do about it? So we can sit there and we can talk about all these different ideas, but are we really going out and getting involved with the community? Are we really engaging with these younger guys, or even guys our age? Like, hey, we need to get back on the horse. We need to get back out there. We have to take back that leadership role that we feel that is being pulled from us. But until we stand up and say, no, you're not taking it back anymore, we're just another pawn in this grand scheme of sit back and just let us handle everything else, instead of us going back to, hey, I'm going to fix this. I'm going out there. I'm going to be aggressive and hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, culture has shifted. We hear this all the time. Masculinity is questioned or redefined. People are saying, that, for instance, Andrew Tate is either loved or hated. We talked about this before in past episodes. The term toxic masculinity was not something that was even a coined phrase 10 years ago, right? We've seen the studies. We talk about it with when Kate was on, that the average men's testosterone was at 950 years ago, and it's now 200. That's a problem.
It's a big problem.
And so what you have is a bunch of these, what I call Nancy boys, that are just sitting back, waiting for someone to come and save them. Yeah. And, leadership has been confused with control or dominance. I spoke about that a few minutes ago. Leadership is not just about control and dominance. It's about leading with a servant's heart. We have a massive amount of technology that has, and I've seen a bunch of posts on this lately and had some conversations about this. Technology has made us disconnected. It's made us faster and better in so many ways, and slower and worse in others.
Right.
But we have, as men, the technology and the comfort has taken out our proving grounds. We don't have clear rites of passage. So, for instance, biblically, a man becomes a man right around the age of 9 to 11. And there's some things that were culturally happening in that time period that are no longer happening anymore. And so with that, it feels like the rules have changed. And it feels like there's a lot of misunderstanding. The world didn't remove leadership. It just makes it uncomfortable to step into it.
Why do you think that is? Who do you think is controlling that it's making it uncomfortable to step in that spot? Like, my gosh, if I go out and do what I really want to do, I'm going to be scoffed at, I'm going to make fun of, I'm going to lose friends. So I'm just going to sit in my little spot. And I did my stuff. This is even for the older guys. I've done my stuff. I'm almost about retired. I'm just going to enjoy the rest of my life.
Well, it's a societal thing. It's a shift in societal norms. So again, without those rites of passage, you don't have a 9 to 11-year-old saying, I'm a man, and now I need to take charge. You have these coined phrases, toxic masculinity. I even have men around me that I know are real men who hate, and I mean are very strong haters of people like Andrew Tate, people like Tucker Carlson, people like Andy Frisella, right? They and you hear this, they don't have to get their message across using 4-letter expletives. They don't have to get their message across with being so aggressive. I kind of disagree. If you can't get your message across to somebody without using 4-letter expletives, is it the person delivering the message or receiving the message that's wrong? Now, we talk about this before structurally. Usually in sales, in leadership, it's about if the person receiving the message isn't getting the correct message, then it's the person giving the message that's wrong. I think that we're not tolerating the message. I just got a bunch of feedback, by the way.
All right.
I think it's because you're touching your mic. Maybe, maybe not. Anyways, right. Regardless, I think that there it goes away. I think that the issue is a tolerance issue, personally. I think that people have become intolerant of anything that doesn't make them feel happy and safe. I mean, you have these safety zones everywhere, these safety signs everywhere, this comfort level. I'm coaching a guy right now that says, if I don't get my hour of checkout time, I don't feel like I can serve or be a good leader. Who told you you deserve an hour of checkout every day?
I want to stop right there because that was so good right there. And so mark your spot where you're at, because I want to go back to what you said earlier. We talked about testosterone levels that were at 900 or a little bit higher back not so long ago. And now guys are going and getting their testosterone checked and it's 200.
Yeah.
Now there's some regulation in there. Don't go out and get your quick fix eugenics and stuff like that. Everyone,
that commercial cracks me up, by the way.
I know, right?
Got this old fat guy, and she'll love it.
And she'll love it too. So, but anyway, that testosterone level is we don't
have to carry things anymore, right?
That too, but again, if your testosterone level starts to go to a certain spot, this, and a lot of our watchers or our listeners are going to know this too. But if it gets to a certain part, the estrogen part of the male body starts taking over, and that's not a good thing. We were built to be leaders. We were built to go ahead and withdraw stuff. Yes, we want to try to fix things. So there is a happy medium in there. And this is by. Sometimes you're going to win by leading. Sometimes you're going to lose by leading. If you lose by leading, you're going to go forward. But with that being said, we've become soft in a roundabout way. Mm-hmm. This path of resistance, I'm just not going to ruffle the feathers. I'm just going to go ahead and take it what it is, and I'll worry about it next time. Well, if it's that important to you, this is in my head, and this is obviously being friends with you for a long time and absorbing some of your leadership skills and vice versa on with us, is over the course of time, we become less and less of a factor. Mm-hmm. Instead of I know that we may not agree on certain things like this, but we have some commonality. But I have to take what you said or what she said, and I hear you, but let's try this, and this, and still maintain that leadership role. I'm feeling that. I know that I'm repeating myself on this, but I feel like that since the estrogen levels are starting to surpass the testosterone levels, that we've become super complacent and not taking advantage of the things that we need to take advantage of.
Well, let's evaluate that. So let's talk 50 years ago. So back then, leadership used to mean that you were a provider, a protector, a decision maker, and a spiritual and moral leader and anchor, right?
Right.
And now the new societally accepted version of a leader is somebody that's a passive person or a passive partner, that's an approval seeker, that's an avoider of conflict, and is outsourcing responsibility and outsourcing physicality. Meaning you don't have to be able to lift heavy things, like I was saying. You don't have to move stuff every day. You don't have to go out and plow the field. In men, physically, when you do physical things, your testosterone increases. I can increase my testosterone by 200 points by bench pressing heavy stuff one time a day for 20 minutes. I've done it. I've done the
Crazy, right?
experiment. We are designed to not be sedentary. And societally, we are a sedentary society now.
Yeah.
Look up the word sedentary. If you fit that, change that.
Brett, it's so much work, and I'm just really happy where I'm at. I've already gone through all that stuff. And this is more for our older guys. So younger guys, pay attention to this, because eventually it could happen to you if you don't really carry up what we've been talking about earlier. Is this is your time. There's no better time to be a leader than right now, because the other older guys in us are like, so we're really counting on your younger guys to relight our torch. And I think that we could really see some leadership stuff come from the younger guys to reignite us as the older guys. But you know what, man? Just don't need to do it. I don't have time. I'm just going to enjoy myself. It's not really affecting me. I'm just going to move on.
Weak.
Right?
Weak. Absolutely weak.
So here's the thing that I am kind of dealing with. I've got to the point with, I'm done with it. If something is like not being done right, or someone feels like they're entitled to do something, I'm standing up and saying, hey, and I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Someone came up, and we were at a restaurant, and they walked up and they were ordering a drink, and like, hey, give me one of those, to the staff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm literally in this conversation. I hear this guy to the side, and I go, hold on a second. And I go, what? He goes, what do you mean, what? I'm like, hey, how about, may I please have such and such and such and such? Mm-hmm. Like, and there, he's looking back at me and goes, what are you, what kind of police?
The politeness police or what?
Politeness police, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I go, that's what you want to call me, but that person is the person that you're ordering your cocktail from, your drink from, is no different from you. So why don't you give them a little bit of respect, and we can all get along a lot better? And he kind of looked at me like, dude, who are you? And I turned around and had my conversation. But then the staff came up to me, is like, hey, thank you for saying that. The guy's been kind of a yo-yo head for a while, and hopefully that works out for him. But that's what I mean. I'm using that as one example. There's 1,000 different examples, but I'm not letting stuff that people are kind of bullying or kind of think this is my space, and not being entitled to it, and being an aggressive in the right way. What you said earlier, being aggressive in the right way is, you can't let things just pass by. Like, that guy's just a jerk. Just let him be a jerk. He's going to continue being a jerk until you take that leadership role. And like, this ain't happening anymore. And yes, it's a form of aggressive. No, it's not a form of toxic masculinity. It's a standard. And we talk about that every single episode that we have on our
standards over feelings.
Yeah. And if you make the guy upset, or if he wants to, take it to the next level, I'm not saying that's where it needs to go, but we have to stop. Can't let people, and again, in the right way, continue to take advantage of because no one said no to them, or no one has questioned their motives. If it's something that's not right, if something is not fitting your standard, stand up and say something. Yes, it may be an embarrassing moment, but if you want something fixed, you're going to have to take that leadership role in the right way.
You must be the change that you seek, right? So if you want something changed, you have to do it. It is tough. It's not easy, and there's not a lot of people doing it. Interesting side note. So my daughter had an interaction with one of her classmates. Her classmate said, "Why are your parents so strict?" And she said, "My parents aren't strict. They love me And in our house, we have standards over feelings. Now
Good
she's gonna be 12 next month.
Yeah.
And it was a big proud dad moment.
Oh yeah.
And so, but remember, guys, leadership isn't about control. It's about clarity, responsibility, and presence. Presence is the key to that. Responsibility is the key to that. And clarity. Having a clear vision for what you see happening in your life, and then helping people to understand that clarity, and then being present in the moment. We talked about this 2 or 3 episodes about presence. It's very, very important. And it's very costly if you don't do it this way. So the cost of passive men is your kids lack direction. Women, your wives, are forced into masculine roles out of necessity, not desire. My wife has zero desire to take the garbage out, but necessarily it needs to happen. And if I'm not going to be the one to do that without being asked, she's going to do that. And it's going to cause division. We have clear roles, and you should have clear roles. In your business life, it's a lack of decisive leadership, and it's a big culture drift. You can't build a good culture in your business with being passive. Your employees are looking for direction. Your customers are looking for direction. Your vendors are looking for direction. We have a set of core values hanging everywhere in our facility, and we quote them to our customers and our vendors as well as our employees. And our employees are now quoting those to our customers and our vendors. We had a delivery the other day, and we have a clear way to take a delivery. It says, leave here on your designated shelf, on your designated spot on the shelf, and bring the invoice over to the office. It's clear and simple. 3 steps. The guy brings it into the shop, doesn't put it on the shelf, drops it on the floor, leaves the invoice. The invoice goes fluttering into the parking lot. My employee goes chasing after the invoice, walks over to the vendor, and says, we have a clear way for you to make a delivery. You need to go talk to the office. You didn't follow our delivery procedure. And that goes against one of our core values. And then cited the core value to our vendor. Now, this guy didn't care 2 craps. But by the time my manager was done with him, he not only understood the direction, but then cared about the direction, at least a little bit, microscopically. And so internally, this cost of passive men, most men will feel lost, frustrated, or numb. That delivery driver was probably just going through the motions. He was just numb.
Going back to what we said, it's like, no one's ever said anything to him. No one's given him a standard. So it's just going to keep on going. And finally, you threw that starfish back to go on, but keep going.
Yeah. And so internally, what you see in that person is that they have no fire and they have no drive. They have no ambition. They're just checking the box. So here's a question for you. After all that I've said, what happens in your home when a man won't lead?
It becomes discontent, right? You have a wife that doesn't believe in, or wife or partner, whatever you want to put into that. But let's go with the standard household is just like you have a wife that doesn't believe into you, doesn't have faith in you, doesn't have trust in you, can't rely on you because this, like, you said this, or you talk about this big, massive game, but you never do anything about it. So why am I going to, when the chips are down, come back and rely on you? Now, sometimes when you do, it's a situation, and every person had it. Your wife comes back to you and asks you for advice or gives you a different scenario, and you lay out, well, okay, did you do this, 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 and this? And which has happened a lot lately. And every relationship has this, but it happens a lot lately. And there's pushback on it, right? There's a little bit of pushback on it. It can't be this way. I'm just telling you, got to do it this way. It's going to make
because they don't trust your opinion. They're asking for your opinion, but your actions haven't supported your ability to give your opinion, right?
But when they go ahead and guy's he's not right. He doesn't know how to handle it. And they go back and kind of do what you said.
Mm-hmm.
and it works, that's going back and building up trust. That's a leadership to it. So sometimes you're going to give advice that is going to be not receptive.
Yeah.
And then once they're like, well, you know what, I'm just going to try it. And if he's wrong, I can say, well, I did try that and it didn't work out.
Have we confused being nice with being weak?
Yes. Yes.
Let's expand on that. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I think that we tried to, we go back to your empathy part of, our compassion and empathy, what you and I have a hard time with a lot, because we have tasted life a little bit differently than a lot of other people have, right? Mm-hmm. And so when there's certain times that you have to be compassionate and you have to have some empathy, and I'm not saying being cold and this is the way it's run, but there's also a time like, hey, we're done going down this path and you can keep doing it this way. This ain't happening anymore. And it's a rough conversation. It can make it for a rough couple of days, but eventually if you stand your ground on it the right way, you don't need to be an a-hole about it, but if you stand your ground the right way, it builds a different level of that relationship. It takes a relationship to a more intimate level, and intimacy never dies in a relationship. Well, it can die if you don't feed it. But I'm just saying is you can always have more intimacy.
Well, it needs to be, it needs, just like a vine, it needs to be pruned every day, right?
Pruned. Yeah. There's some stuff that you have to get rid of, and there's some different directions. You may have said it the wrong way, but you have to come back. This is what I meant, or things like that. That's why I'm a big believer in those type of discussions. And when it starts getting to a very turning point of a conversation, which a lot of people rely on this, I'm just going to text you my feelings. Mm-hmm. What is in their head and what's on their fingers on this part gets lost in translation to this part.
Well, we've talked about it before. It's 2-dimensional instead of 3-dimensional. It's a low-level conversation, right?
So you're reading something and like, whoa, where are you going with this? Instead of really talking it out or having the words misconstrued. And then that just puts gasoline on the fire and then trying to recuperate that. So I'm always a big believer, if you have to have a passionate conversation or something that you're going to get into the weeds about stuff, don't put it on text.
Have it face to face.
Have it face to face. It may not be fun, but it's the best way, especially for me. Don't put it on text. Yeah. Because I'm going to read your stuff. And if you're being aggressive to me on text, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to basically like, yep, we're done. We're not talking about this anymore. That's not the right way for it to handle. I should pick up the phone. I'm like, okay, let's get this out, or let's have a meeting. I don't care if it's a business partner, friendship, your marriage, whatever it is like.
Well, back to our belief system, yours and mine.
Right.
It's straight up biblical. It says, if you have a problem with your brother, take it to your brother.
Yep.
First.
Right.
Right.
Then we go back to like, you know what? I don't have the bandwidth right now to deal with this stuff. So I am just going to go ahead and let that be right, even though I know that it's not right. And I'm just going to pass it off. So then your masculinity and your leadership roles are going down, 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 down. Well, I'm just going to be able to, where I see a lot of it here, a lot of it, that these guys just get overrun by their wives because they're like, I'm just going to go.
Well, they're not getting overrun by their wives. They're not leading in the way that we're talking about. And so, when men don't lead, something else has to fill the vacuum. And it's rarely, if ever, better.
Right.
For you or your spouse, either one. And so when you don't lead, it's not your wife's fault that she's having to lead. It's your fault for not leading.
The scapegoat, this came up to me, happy wife, happy life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, she can be happy while you're leading. You have to rebuild that with it.
It's trust. It's trust levels. Trust is easy to lose and hard to regain.
And dropping off a box at the, being the entitled, like, hey, I'm just going to let them do whatever they want.
You ever see those old movies where they drop a bag of poo and light it on fire?
Yeah.
That's what I feel technology has done. It allows people with no fear of reprisal to drop the bag, light it on fire, and then allow you to stamp it out with your foot and get your foot full of poo. It's ridiculous.
Oh my God. It just reminds me, you're not a big movie guy, but I love some Billy Madison, some Adam Sandler movies. This is so stupid. And they do that. They light the bag of poo on fire. And the guy's going out the door. And he's like, someone left or lit a bag on fire out here. She goes, don't go out there. It's filled with poo. He goes, don't you tell me what to do, you evil woman.
Yeah.
Goes out, stamps on it, and it's full of poo. So anyway.
On that note, biblically, it also tells us to take counsel and seek counsel from our wives.
Yeah. Again, what a fine line we're riding through this conversation, right? We're asking you to be a leader, but we're also asking you to get advice and get wisdom from your wife, who typically have that empathetic, compassionate stuff to help those leadership roles. Because we're going to need both of those. So you're going to have a little bit of compassion. You're have to have a little bit of empathy, but you're also going to have that testosterone stuff like that. Not toxic. You're only here for one purpose, and that's produce kids. There's a much bigger purpose for women.
So here's 3 key points. This is probably a golden nugget moment for those. Modern masculine leadership, this is the definition: ownership without ego, strength with empathy, direction without domination, which is exactly what you were talking about. And what I said earlier, you have to have ownership without ego. It's okay to be right, but you don't have to throw it in people's faces, right? Strength with empathy. You can be a strong leader and still be compassionate. You can still provide direction without saying, I told you to go over there. You can say something along the lines of, I think it might be a good idea if we go over there. What are your thoughts? Again, direction without domination, seeking counsel as well.
Well, it goes back to, too, what you've been reading for the last couple of weeks, that nice little note you have on your desk right there. That also pertains into a leadership type of mindset, right?
Well, my decision-making?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll go over that again. Decision-making, it's right over here, guys. Number 1, does this serve me? Number 2, is this reasonable? Number 3, does this get me to my outcome? And number 4, is this consistent with my values and standards? I had to look over my laptop. But it's right here on my wall, because I had to retrain myself to look at every situation and to go through those 4 steps before I act. And that's direction without domination. I have to direct myself to do those 4 steps and then ask that person if they did those 4 steps in their decision-making process. One thing that I've been lacking on, but trying to do better at, is leading my wife to the Bible. Meaning, my decisions and my reasons for doing things should be fulfilled by quoting her biblical scripture. Now, again, I said this, you heard me say this. I've been failing at it, but I've been trying to do better. So my first inclination, if you will, is to go with domination. That's the testosterone part. The emotionally mature part is to give direction without domination. So in that, I say, your actions are not consistent with what we've read before. And here's what we read. Where does that land with you? And then shut up.
Yeah, how important is it to listen and talk once in a while, right? We always talk about that. You have one mouth and 2 ears, use them accordingly. And even though that we have these grandiose ideas, if you're not on the same page, your ideas don't mean anything. Or if you're not having good communication, it's just not going to work. But there's also goes back to what we talked about earlier. I know that we're recapping a lot of stuff. The thing is just like, where's your trust level on that? Where has your, even if you did fail, what you say, which we all do, we fail miserably every day, somehow, some way, whatever it may be.
Yep.
But really, like, is taking that and don't use it as a crutch or a setback or, gosh, I wish I'd have done something different. Yeah, I messed up there.
Well, don't use that as an excuse
to not try again.
To not try again. Exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's also a big thing too, is like, I've tried, and it just seems like I'm falling on deaf ears. I have to go have a meeting with somebody that can't, it's like blowing me off. I'm like, dude, this we're finding a spot now that we have to have a different understanding. I could be your biggest asset, but right now you're just treating my words and everything like
it's a liability, right?
Yeah, it's a liability. Oh, I'll get to it. Okay, I'll handle that. Well, it's been 2 weeks. You're not handling it. So we just need to have a different conversation. What do I need to do I'm not saying put it all on your shoulders. I'm willing to help in this situation, but we have to get this from point A to point B. I'm not letting this slide. This is not hitting the standards, not only what this business needs to be, but where we have to go in the future. So we've got to figure it out now before it just becomes another casualty of war, or just like, they let him speak. I heard him. I'll just let him go, and eventually it'll just go away. And that's where I feel that we've lost a lot of leadership. We sit around the tables, we sit around the water cooler, we sit around the fires, and we talk 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 and we talk. And then it just goes away. We're in that 10 seconds, actually, we talked about before, we're in that 10-second society. We're passionate for about 10 seconds and then we just let it slide, but we never really fix the problem. And that's where the leadership is. It's going to be a grind to get it from point A to point B to point C. And it's continue the process. But you have to keep grinding it out until that standard is now set. And like, okay, you build on it. It's a lot of work. We don't want to do, I just feel like there's a lot of us that don't want to do the work.
Don't want to do the work.
And I'm guilty of that a lot. I just want to get out of this situation. But maybe more than likely, God has put us in that situation. Like, I'm putting you in this fire right now because I know that you have the faith to it. Don't give up on this. Make sure that it gets done. And then lead by example from that. Let other people watch you. Let other people hear you, and then move it along and get it to their way. So other people said it, and now their standards different, so on and so forth.
Well, you talked about trust earlier. I'm going to give you 5 pillars of trust. So number 1 is clarity. Know where you're going, not where they're going. Okay. Number 2 is discipline. Do what others won't. Number 3 is accountability. Talked about that earlier. No excuses. Number 4 is protection, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. We talked about a lot about that going through this. Number 5 is vision. Give people something to follow. Here's the summary to that. Would your family follow you or tolerate you? I'd love to have Christian on because I think he would have a lot to say about this.
Yeah, that's a lot in that, right? That's a big one. I think a lot of people would say, we'll just tolerate it, right? We'll let, it's just who they are. This too will pass.
And I can't change it.
We talked about this relationship. Hey, this is who I am. This is the way I've been in for all my life. Take it or leave it. Because no one challenged that situation. No one asked why. I'm like, hey, maybe giving advice, being in that leadership role. I understand what you want here, but maybe look at it this way. I'm not saying it's the right way, but just maybe put a different set of eyes on it or a different set of words on it and try to do that. For us males, it's very hard to be told that we are wrong, and to marinate in that a little bit.
Well, you have to change your mindset. You have to go at everything with a servant mindset, servant leadership.
Which you always coach very well on, right? Losing is okay. Yeah. Losing is not going to kill you.
You must lose well.
Yeah. And that's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard.
I had one of the guys I coach is a younger guy. He's 27. And he said, when does it get easier? I said, I want you to answer that question. He goes, well, it feels like never. Yep. It doesn't get easier. The more that you try to push to be better, the harder it gets.
And there's no magic pill for that.
Zero. I can give you a small magical pill, a little bit. Okay. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be comfortable. So strap in, get ready to engage, and I'll give you the practical steps. Start with your home, set direction. Finances, health, and values, right? We talked about standards over feelings in my house, okay? Speak up. You talked about that earlier. Stop avoiding hard conversations. Doesn't matter if it's uncomfortable, have those hard conversations. We talked about this earlier. Build your body. Physical strength equals mental clarity. This is something I did last night. Find brotherhood. Other strong men will sharpen you. Okay. And then you need to reconnect spiritually. Leadership without foundation collapses. If you don't have a solid foundation, then your family can't have a solid foundation. If you don't have a solid foundation, your business won't have a solid foundation. Let's go back to the three little pigs. You heard that when you were a kid, right? The wood house, the straw house, the brick house. Stop building straw houses, guys. Start building brick houses. 25 years, it's been my passion to build brick houses. Now, about 3 to 7 times a day, I start putting straw onto that brick house and wondering why it's on fire. Okay? So this is a call out to myself. It's a call out to my brother Blair.
Yeah.
It's a call out to all my brothers in leadership. It's a call out to all business owners. It's a call out to anybody who is not happy with the direction their life is going.
This just popped into my head, and maybe this isn't happening anymore. So this is a question to our listeners and our people who are watching this. You're going to listen to that anyway, because you can watch and listen at the same time. For the women, have you had the conversation with your husband 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 30 years? I need you to get back in that leadership role. How incredibly difficult that could be. There is, some men will take it as a emasculating comment, but come back with it. And this has been maybe, April.
It's a call to action.
It's a call to action. But in the same as like, I see what you're doing and I know that you're trying and stuff like this. This is where I'm looking for your leadership. And for men, if the women that are listening to this, and you go back to your spouses, and you can play this episode for your husband if you're the women that are listening to this. But to the men going, being understanding, don't combat, well, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. You may do a lot of things, but they may be looking for that little piece of leadership that they're just not getting. Mm-hmm. Even though that you think that you're giving it. Again, this is pointing fingers at me, this is pointing fingers at Brent. We may think that we are giving it. We're providing for this. We're doing this. You don't have to worry about this. We don't have to do that. They may be missing that little piece. So women, this is a challenge for you, and maybe get some advice, maybe some godly women to it is, I need my husband to lead me in this way, and knowing that it could be a hard conversation, which is okay, because you're setting a new standard, and new standards are good to raise it up. So don't be afraid of it. Which it can be like, God, you know what? It's just, I'll deal with everything else. He does so many things the right way. I'm just going to let this slide. But if you're needing something, it's important, just as it is important for us to tell you, women from guys, to tell our wives, this is what I'm needing, and not be afraid of that. And I think what that will do for a lot of men, which is our subject today, is how the world's changed. Is maybe they're looking for another way to lead, but they don't know. And without that communication, they're never going to find that way. And maybe that reignites the fire. My wife needs this from me. I want to provide, which we're providers. Mm-hmm. I want to provide for her. And if she's needing that, and maybe to start working on that, and then get report cards, months, weeks, whatever. Hey, I know you asked from this. Am I getting to that spot where you're needing me? So, by the way, that just came into my mind. So obviously God put that in there. There's probably a lot of call to action on my part that I need to do. But I would really encourage you as wives, is even though that your husband may do a lot of things for you, if there's something missing in there, what's that leadership thing that you're missing?
Yeah.
And see what happens with that.
So maybe men didn't forget how to lead. Maybe they were never shown. And that's that is the purpose of this podcast, is to show people how to lead. But here's the truth. Leadership isn't given, it's taken. Not from others, but from your own excuses. And go make a damn difference.
That's it, everyone. Gave you a lot of good stuff in there, men and women. I watch this together if you can. You want to have a date night for a little over 45 minutes instead of watching some little dumb show on Netflix that's just really not reality. Mm-hmm. Watch this episode. both of you guys together. Maybe take some notes. What hit home differently? Women, what hit home differently with you? Men, what happened? What can we fix? Because realistically, that Brenda said this a couple of times in the podcast, it really starts in your home. And that will spawn with your kids. That will spawn with your business partners, your friendships, and so forth. So get back that leadership role. Two people in the household can have their leadership roles, and that's a fine. I'm not saying it has to be all man, but man, you were built to be a leader. And then after that, go back. If you're watching on Spotify or YouTube or iTunes, whatever, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. So every time that we have an episode, which comes out once a week, you have a new subject to talk about in your relationship with your friends and your family and all these different things. And it's going to help not only you become a better leader, but help them become a better leader. So that's all I have for this week. Until we see each other next week, I want you to stay safe, but most of all, God bless.